Okay, hi everybody. It's Paul Green from the business community. Can't even speak today. Doing another one of our spotlight on interviews, where we delve a little bit into different people and their business journey. And today, I'm pleased to be due. I'm going to have to put my teeth in for this, aren't I? I'm joined by Julie Futcher of the Sales Ace. Good morning, Julie, and welcome.
Good morning, Paul. Yes, you need to take more water with it, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a nightmare. Anyway, so do you just want to, before we dive in, do you just want to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
Hi. So hello, everybody. I am Julie Futcher and I am the Sales Ace. And what I do is work with businesses to help skyrocket their sales. The way that I do that is looking at sales consultancy. So that's things like sales process reviews, really sort of digging into the nitty gritty of a business and looking at how that can improve. Sales training. So anything for internal staff or external staff, and also look at helping people with LinkedIn lead generation and how they can get some sales out of that. So that's what I do.
And you do it very well, if I might say so.
Thank you.
So what would the intention of these is just to find out a little bit about your business journey, what makes you tick, maybe ask a little bit about, why you, what's different from the competition, what some of the biggest challenges are that you're facing, stuff like that, just to get a little bit of a sense of you as a person and as a business. So how did you end up where you are today, Julie? What's your background?
Good. Yeah, so that brought me here. So I had been 20 years, I think, within recruitment. And before you say anything, yes, I am that old.
I was going to say you started when you were 12.
Yeah, then I think you would, wanted something. So started 20 odd years ago in recruitment. And when I came out of it, I burnt out, to be completely honest. So training is something that I'd always wanted to do. And after doing a brief stint with somebody I knew in a sales reps type role, I had the idea for sales training and created the Sales Manager, which a lot of people will know me for. That was sales training. We built that. Unfortunately, last year, due to good old-fashioned COVID, I had to shut that down, which was a real shame because we built it to 11 employees doing training, consultancy, recruitment, and telemarketing. But never one to be daunted by a challenge. I was a little bit like a phoenix. I rose from the ashes, and here I am. It sounds very dramatic, doesn't it? Here I am today. And yes, so the Sales Ace and doing all the services that I sort of mentioned. So yes, it's been an interesting journey in my life. And the thing I suppose that I bring to the table, which a lot of sales trainers, when I was looking and researching the business, a lot of sales trainers don't, is I'm still a jobbing saleswoman. Mm-hmm. So I'm still at the front line selling. As this goes out, I still do a telemarketing campaign for clients. So I'm cold calling for clients once a week. And I know what it's like. So I really know the pains of sales people, and obviously know then how to work with them to get over the challenges that they have and how we can get the best from them.
Yeah, it was a traumatic time last year, and we were part of that journey. Well, what do you think you learned from that, and do you feel that you're in a better place now as a result of it?
Yeah, it was an interesting thing. I what did I learn from it? Oh God, I learned a hell of a lot about myself, I think, through that journey, and what I wanted from my life going forward. I'm so sad that I'm not working with the people that were with me then, because they were a great team. Yeah. And it was kind of ripped me apart to end that. But as I said, the journey that I went on gave me a opportunity to sit down and look at what I wanted going forward for the rest of my working life. And that very much the words work-life balance came into that. And now with the business as it is, that's what I've set up. You learn a lot about running businesses. You learn a lot about managing businesses. We'd scaled up very quickly, so I'd learned a lot about how growth happens, and some lessons coming out of that. I learned how to downscale a business very quickly. So yeah, it was an interesting time, I think, during that. So
I guess it felt like a bit of a weight off your shoulders, though, didn't it?
It did a little, yeah, I have to say. I'd be lying if I didn't say that it was a weight off my shoulders. But it's given me an opportunity to I kind of thought it was like a rebirth. That's why I sort of said it was like a phoenix coming out of the ashes. I think there's a Eurovision song, I rose like a phoenix. Yeah, sorry, I don't know where that came from. I've had too much dinner as well. It gave me an opportunity to to rethink things and to look at what I wanted. My goals are very, very different. When I set up the sales manager, I wanted world domination, and we'd have bloody done it as well if it hadn't been for COVID. Now I want to obviously make a difference with clients, and I'm doing that with the clients that I've got. But I work 4 days a week. And I'm a big believer now in order to be effective in business, you've got to have that rest, you've got to have that break, and you've got to have that time to recharge the batteries. I've done the running at 50 million miles an hour on that hamster wheel, and one of the things I did learn, and I know I'm probably going on a bit on this, is I did learn that when you fall off your hamster wheel, it's not good. So you have to take that time out, and hence the reason I structure my world very differently now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Phoenix Rise is a better image than a rebirth. Just give us some feedback. A lot less messy, I'm thinking.
Image in my mind, can't get rid of now. Yeah.
Okay. So people that come on this call are driven by various things. You talk about people's why. Why they're in business, and what drives them and what gets them out of bed in the morning. What would you say is your why? What's your reason for fighting the good fight on a daily basis?
Why? So one of them that drove me into working for myself was I was absolutely fed up of being a cash cow for somebody else. In my sales career, I was successful. And I made a lot of money for me, but I also made a lot more money for other people. So I now work for myself, which is great. Why do I do what I do? One of the big things that I get a massive kick out, and I know I'm a salesperson and I am driven by a lot of that is sort of revenue and money to a degree. But what does give me the biggest kick now is when I see people that I've done training with who... and even during training workshops, that epiphany that's like that little light bulb goes on, and they go, "Ooh," and they take away what you've taught them and they put it into their businesses and they apply that. And I see them go from strength to strength. And I've been very, very fortunate over the past 6 years. I've been self-employed now doing this, to see a number of businesses do that. Some sole traders, some big businesses. And it makes me very proud. I've been doing a big project with a company, multi-million-pound turnover business that supplies into the food manufacturing business, and we did a big sort of sales process review, sales change round. And I had a lovely conversation with their MD about a month or so ago, because they won a massive piece of business. Everything was working really well. They're over budgets. And I said, "You must be very proud to him." And he said, "Yes, I am. But you must be also very proud, Julie, of what you've achieved for us," which I thought was lovely. And that is why I do what I do.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Seeing those results and the impact you have.
And to take the fear away from sales. Sales has got such a bad rep. You think back to the 80s and you watch those films, Wolf of Wall Street and, Glengarry, Glen Ross, and I'm sure there's others as well. And salespeople were slimy, they were smarmy, they were out for what they can get. Sales is very different now. Sales is a profession. And people that are the best at sales are the people that build relationships, look at the long term, nurture those. And that, again, is another thing that I kind of wanted to be a one-woman crusade about, is to show people that it's not scary, and done well, it really enhances businesses, what people provide and the services, etc. So
yeah, unfortunately, I think there are still a few of the old school salespeople out there. But like you say, I think the world is changing, and
yeah,
people on the whole don't respond to those people very well.
no, they don't. No.
In a networking context. But yeah, I was going to touch on the sales being a scary thing. So certainly, over the time that you've been in sales, that's something that you've addressed. And I think, from some of the workshops you've done for me, which I appreciate you offering free to my guys, you've broken it down into sort of its constituent parts and given people that comfort factor of that it's just a conversation, really, isn't it? And trying to match the needs and wants with a solution. So
yeah, I think what is interesting, and I do keep an eye on the competition. I do look out for other sales trainers, and I certainly did a lot of that homework when I was building the business. There are a lot of sales trainers out there, and a lot of the ones I see are men, that are very kind of like, rah, sales, rah, rah, always be closing, that's not my style. And it's not the style that you have to be. At the end of the day, those relationships that you build, a consultative sale. I think I actually call sales problems. I resolve people's problems for money. I don't sell anybody anything. I resolve their problems for money, and that's always kind of the mindset that I try and get across to people. You don't have to be up in your face type person. In actual fact, what people want is somebody who's genuine and themselves. And again, I suppose this is what sets me apart as a sales trainer. I can do that up in your face stuff. I can be an alpha female in a sales environment if I have to be. But, the bottom line is, all the clients that I work with know me for my sense of humor, my down-to-earth approach, being and yeah, that's kind of what sets me apart, I think, from other people that are out there in the market, as providing sales training.
Okay. Are there any particular target audience, target sort of market that you have that you're looking to engage with?
So I have a couple, really. So I work with small businesses, and let's say sole traders, or business owners that are still doing the selling themselves. They may have one or two employees, and those are people that through the sales club, which was a service I forgot to speak about, slap my hands. So those sort of people, the sales club provides them training, support, guidance, help on training, and sales on that. And then I have a target market. The other target market are people that have sales people within their organization, being it one person or 30, be it internal based, external, or both. Those are the sorts of organizations where I tend to go in and do internal training. We have workshops as well, and look at sort of making their sales team more effective and billing more. So those are the markets that I look at.
Okay, someone's just come on LinkedIn, Nicola.
Oh, that's nice.
Love this, Jules. Definitely about relationship building. So thanks for that, Nicola.
Thanks, Nicola.
So say a little bit more about the Sales Club. What is it? How does it work? How do people get involved?
So I created the Sales Club to help people who were doing the sales themselves within a business. I kind of noticed that these people are time poor, and sometimes budgets don't allow them to spend a lot of money to go on to do sales training, and they don't have a lot of time because they're trying to deliver their services and their products as well. So I sort of noticed that these people are sometimes the ones that need the sales training the most. So I invented the Sales Club. And what people joining the Sales Club get is free sales training. We also have quarterly review sort of sessions where we plan your business on a quarterly basis. We look at expanding people's knowledge within sales through guest speakers. And we've had some great guest speakers happen, and also maybe some additional stuff from us, but also you've got the input from other members of the group as well, if you need a sounding board. Now, this is not a great big commitment for people. It's 1 hour, 1 till 2, every other Monday. And you also get access to me to pick my brains if you need to as well. So there's a lot that is on offer for people, and it's well, you'll remember. You know, the feedback I get from people is that, you know, it really helps them overcome their fear of sales, educate themselves, additional learning. But at the end of the day, they're seeing an uplift in sales, which is the best thing. So.
Absolutely. So when COVID hit, you moved your some of your workshops online at the time.
Yes.
What's your plan going forward with training in general?
So I think there will be a mixture. I was a real technophobe before all of this. You know, if you'd have said to me training online, I was absolutely adamant that it can't be done. No, you've got to be in a training room. But I am a convert, and I've been doing a lot of training online. So I think online will still have a place. And at the moment, my workshops, open sort of workshops, are still online. But I think that may change next year, and I might move into the classroom environment again. We'll see. There might even be a mixture of both. I think for clients as well, we've been doing a lot of work with their teams online. Zoom and Teams has really helped with that. But again, there are other clients that I work with who want me back in-house. So it's going to be a mixture, and I'm really comfortable with that. You know, it's going to be dependent on the need of the client.
Yeah, you've got a lot of valuable content. I think I've done most of your courses over the years. You should probably put them in a book, Julie. What do you think about that?
Well, Paul, funny you should say that. Yeah, segue nicely. I'll slip you a fiver later. I am in the throes of writing a book. It's stalled a little because I've been busy, but I've given myself a deadline to get that finished by the end of written and ready to talk about publishing by the end of August. So yes, you can see me in person, you can see me online, or you can read me in the near future.
I was going to say we'll be able to flick through you in the near future, but that sounds horribly wrong.
That does sound horribly wrong. Let's move along from that point, please.
So you obviously mentioned your biggest challenge last year in COVID times. Outside of COVID times, I think, you know, pretty much every business has been touched in some way by a thing that we never imagined would last this long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside of that on your business journey, what would you say has been your biggest challenge other than the COVID stuff related stuff?
So I think being now back on my own, I face probably the same challenges as a lot of small business owners in the balance between bringing in new business and delivering to your clients. So that is always a challenge, and I'm sure every business owner feels the same. You know, you can wrap yourself up in your business and be delivering stuff, lift your head above the parapet, and all of a sudden you can't see any business coming over the horizon. So you've got to try and do stuff. So I have put some plans in place and have things in place that help me with that. So I have some great referral partners, of which you're one of them. So thank you for that. So those helping me and have helped me a lot and will continue to help me, and as much as you know, and I will help them as well. I'm dabbling with things like Google Ads. One of my offerings is a LinkedIn lead generation service. Well, sort of campaigns, and I've got one of those running at the moment. So that's looking good. So yes, and networking, obviously. BuzzCon, we love you. So I look at, and I've had to look at areas where I can generate business without me being present. I think the reason I've done this, Paul, was when I first started out in business. You know, I would say in networking meetings, I'm a sales trainer, and people would say, I don't like cold calling, and then kind of run away from me. So when I set out the business, I set it up to prove that you can build a business without having to do cold calling.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, cold calling works. I do it for clients. We are successful with it. But if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You just have to work smarter and look at ways that doesn't involve that. And that is why I've done what I've done with sort of the areas of the business to help me channel through new leads, etc.
Yeah. You touched on network. You also talked about the fear of sales. There's also a fear of networking out there, isn't there? Would you say?
Yeah, there is, and it's an interesting one because I've had, funnily enough, I had this conversation with a client only about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I was doing a sales process review for them. We were looking at all sort of the elements of their business, and I said, why aren't you doing networking? And their response to me is, we tried it once and it didn't work. And I sit down and say, okay, talk to me about what you did. Now, from what I was hearing was they went along, they did a couple of meetings somewhere, they didn't get any business, and so they left. And their sort of overall impression was networking doesn't work. But you and I both know that actually networking is it's so advantageous to a business. It's not about selling to the room. It's about, you know, yes, you do get business from the people in the room. Of course you do. And we'd be naive to say that doesn't happen. But the reason I go along is to meet people who are working the same target market that I am, who I grow to like and trust, so that we can refer business to each other. It's about making friends. I've got some terrific friends through this. And yes, you're one of them.
Yay.
And the support that I had the back end of last year when I was going through all of that turbulent time, and even throughout the year when I was going through that turbulent time, was brilliant from the people that I network with. So, you know, it's about making friends. And that's the way I say to people, don't think of it as business. Think of it as going to make some friends, go and meet new people and see what comes out of it. And I think that's a really good way of looking at networking. So don't be scared, people. Go.
That'll be my advert now.
Or me looming at the camera.
No, I think now's a great time to network. It's pretty much it is all virtual at the moment. You know, it's gradually getting back to face in the next month or so. But I think, there's so many different styles of networking out there that I think, you know, that the problem, there is going to be something that fits you. So exactly. if you prefer the more mix and mingle type stuff over a coffee, you know, where there's you don't have to introduce yourself to the room, there's that. Yeah. If you prefer the highly structured, agenda-driven, process-driven meeting, there's that, and there's pretty much every combination in between. But yeah, so anybody listening to this, if you haven't tried networking, try it online now. I think in fairness, it is less threatening. You're not walking into a room of strangers. You're just walking into a flat screen of strangers, and it's that bad. You've got a little X in the corner and you're out of there, aren't you? That's right. You're not going to slide off to the toilet and go out the window or anything. So no, give it a go. It's not as scary as you think. I appreciate people can get anxious about it, but you know, just give it a go. Give it a go. Anyway, so you kindly said you'd share some of your vast knowledge with us and look a little bit at the importance of the sales process. So yes, I'm going to hand over, I'm going to put you so people can get you full stream. So full screen, he says, trying to find the full screen button, there it is. So the floor is yours, Julie.
Thank you. So sales processes, and I've kind of mentioned a couple of times in this interview about I'm doing some work with clients about reviewing their sales processes. So I think I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I've been doing, and I'll drop in how this actually can help you. So one business I went to see literally called me in to say, we want more sales. We're doing well, but we want more sales. And we want to have a look at how we can do that. And I'm sure those words resonate with a number of you out there. And the first thing I always do when I work with clients on this is I look at what they're currently doing at the moment and how they're doing it. So I sat down with them, their team, and I looked at everything from how an inquiry comes into the business, how it's handled, who does what, where does it go, how that's implemented. I looked at the people that are working within the business. And through that, I was able to look at areas that needed some additional work. We had one area of the business where their conversion rate wasn't very high. They weren't getting the sales from doing a certain piece of activity, and they wondered why. And I was able to look at that and think, well, actually, this just needs a few tweaks here and there. With regard to some of the people they had in place, they weren't necessarily salespeople. They were more customer service people, which was fine, because they did a fantastic job, but we needed just to tweak that to do a little bit more proactive stuff. So the outcome of that is the fact that their sales have massively increased. They're over budget. Everybody is happier in the roles that they are working in. Therefore, the business has grown, and I have a very, very happy managing director on my hands. So how does this impact on you? Well, let's talk about how I started this. The business wanted to increase sales. And if you guys want to increase sales into your business, one of the good things to look at is what you're doing and is it working? And it's looking at the customer journey from the minute that that inquiry hits you to the process that you take, moving your customer through all the elements of your business. One of the things that I tend to look at is from inquiry to, the conversation. Are you physically talking to customers or are you emailing? Physically talking to customers is a great thing to do because it starts to generate a relationship. What's the journey from that initial conversation? Excuse me. Are you booking a meeting? If you're having meetings, how successful are they? How successful are you in closing those meetings? If you're finding that you're not closing many of the meetings, in actual fact, meetings that you don't close are bigger than meetings that you do close, there's probably something going on in there. So we need to look at how that works. From closing a meeting, does it go to quote? How many quotes are you sending out? Do you follow up those quotes? Believe it or not, there's many businesses that I talk to that don't follow up the quotes. And if you do that, that's going to increase sales because you're controlling the sales process. If you're not converting those quotes, why aren't you converting those quotes? Are your pricing right? Are you undervaluing yourself? Are you overvaluing yourself? Are you not quite understanding the customer's needs, wants, issues, and problems? So it's all of these things that, if you look at all the elements of them and stand back from them, and you guys can do this for yourselves, you don't necessarily need me, but just take one step back and be truthful with yourself and say, am I doing this the best? And if not, what can I do better? And it's amazing when you do those things, how everything just sends to slot into place, and your sales will actually pick up. It's going back to basics, and going back to basics is so important to do regularly. I do quarterly reviews, and we do that with the sales club. And I do that with my clients, and it's a quarterly review of what's going on in the business, what's happened over the past quarter, what are you going to do for the present quarter, and in a process-wise, what used to work, what isn't working now. What can I do to change? What am I doing differently? So it's all those sorts of things that are simplistic things, but a lot of businesses don't tend to think about. So there we go. I hope that's kind of helped a little bit towards understanding sales processes. Is that all right, Paul?
That'll do me, Julie Futcher. A lot of stuff in there, as usual, valuable content. So thanks for that. The follow-up struck a chord with me because it's like with networking referrals, back to the boring networking bit again. You know, the number of times that people have been given referrals and just don't follow up on them. And it's like, you would not believe so many examples of it. And I just don't understand the mentality of it. You know, you're out there to, like, you know, with the quotes, you're out there to get business. You do a quote, just throwing it in there and hoping you might get the business is, you know, a little bit too hit and miss, isn't it, really? But hey, it is what it is. So
it is what it is.
So that's really, so one final thing from you, Julie. From your experience and talking to other small business owners, if there was one sort of like top tip that you could give somebody as a small business owner, what would that top tip be?
Plan. Create a sales plan and review it regularly.
Okay.
Did you want me to elaborate on that?
No, well, you can elaborate on that. I think sometimes, what, you know, when I mention business plan, and all of a sudden people think 40 pages of stuff. So it might be worth sort of saying what your view of a plan looks like.
So a sales plan is, and what I do, and literally is very simplistic, is I have 12 months of the year, whether it's January to December or your trading years or whatever it is. And I will sit down before the end of the year and plan for my next year and look at what revenue I want to bring in. And actually that breaks down into how many workshops, how many members of the sales club, how many days training that I want to do. And I plan that. So going into a new financial year or a new year, I've got a clear view of what I want to achieve. And then on a week by week basis, I look at how I'm getting on with that. What activity, marketing activity do I need to do to generate that? I review that on a 6 monthly basis. So I review where my business has come from. So I know for a fact that business community brings me a lot. So hence the reason I'll continue to be a member. Sorry, Paul, tough. You're stuck with me. I know that other referral partners generate a lot of business. LinkedIn does. So I make sure that the activities are on those are current or up to date. And I just plan it. But it's that thinking about your business. It's about thinking about it from a year. It's about reviewing it regularly, whether you do it weekly or every bi-weekly or monthly, but that keeps you on track. Too many business owners have got it all up in here and they just run from 1 month to another, to another, to another. And that's what can cause them the roller coaster of revenue, the up 1 minute, down the next. So this plan helps you keep control of all of that.
Yeah, and like you say, it doesn't have to be war and peace. It's just the things you're focusing on, isn't it? And
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, your work is done here, Julie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for today. So I'll end the broadcast there, and thanks for sharing your journey and some of your knowledge.
No, thank you for inviting me, Paul Green.